Good morning. It is Wednesday. Listen, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So we in the midweek stretch and we're going to finish strong, y'all. Today's topic is when my appetite needs surrender. Okay. This is one of the greatest things that we can think about as far as our appetite. The greatest victory is surrendering. And why are we talking about Jesus? Because he was in the wilderness, y'all. He fasted for 40 days. In Matthew chapter 4, verse 4, it says, "Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God." Okay. We have talked about lust. We've talked about validation. We've talked about boredom. We've even talked about discipline, right? But the greatest victory over our appetite is surrender. What does that mean? Surrender means giving something over completely, letting go of control, right? Trusting another authority, a person, or an outcome. If you look at it in the spiritual context, it means fully yielding your life, your will, and your plans to God, trusting him to lead you. Jesus was in the wilderness. He was fasting for 40 days. He was physically hungry, right? And the enemy comes and tempts him with three things, okay? The lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. The enemy did not tempt Jesus with obvious evil, okay? He tempted him with things that looked reasonable, but were outside of God's timing and will. But one thing that Jesus showed us, because, again, he came back to the enemy and let him know, right? Not to tempt the Lord thy God. I don't need just bread. I need the voice of God, right? Your appetite does not have to control your identity. That's what Jesus was displaying, right? He was like, listen, this thing don't have to control who you are. You know who you are through me. He said, man shall not live, what? By bread alone. In other words, my life is not led by my cravings. It is led by God's voice. So sometimes the greatest spiritual growth, right, that happens in our life is when we surrender the appetite that is screaming the loudest. What are we holding on to? Because we talked about surrender means letting go. So what are we holding on to that's screaming, that is keeping us from the calling that God wants us to shift into? What's screaming in your life that you need to let go? Love you. God bless you.